Ublumi, good afternoon. Welcome to the Tunnganarniq show. My name is Margaret Nuxana, and today we have Mr. Gerry Kisoun here from Inuvik.
Good afternoon, Margaret. Ublumi, good to be here.
I wanted to just address, there is a public health order that there's a small outbreak of COVID, or I shouldn't say small, there's an outbreak of COVID in the Northwest Territories, and there's a public order for everyone to wear masks in public places, so we are following the orders and keeping a little bit distance and wearing our masks for today's episode and further episodes until hopefully everything gets back under control.
I think it's always a good idea that we want to try to have everybody stay as safe as they can be, stay as healthy, stay home if they have to.
Exactly.
And, continue to wash your hands and let's beat this thing together.
Exactly. So on today's episode, I'm really, really excited because I have known Gerry since I was about 14 years old. I met him when he went to go to Tuck for a jamboree, and he went into my Nanak and my Dadak's house. And I always knew I was going to interview Gerry when I found out that I was going to do the show. You have lived an extraordinary life. In my opinion, I will use the word extraordinary.
Wow.
Yeah. So if we can start right at the beginning, maybe you can talk about where you grew up and who your parents were.
Sure, yeah, I can do that, Margaret. My name is Gerry Kisoun. I was actually born out in the Mackenzie Delta, about 40 miles northwest of Aklavik. It was in the middle of the winter, and my mother actually walked 12 miles pulling my brother on a snowshoe in the middle of winter to go and find my dad on the trap line, and to have me born there. I made it into this world at the end of February 68 winters ago, and I grew up in the Mackenzie Delta and at my mom's trapping camp, trap line for a couple of years, and then we moved into this community when I was 3 years of age. My father brought us in from the trap line. And we were over at Napoyak out there, and we set up a tent down by the river, just down from the power plant. And we stayed in that tent for the first 3 winters that we stayed here. And my dad got a job helping build this community. It was a Government of Canada community called East 3. And I grew up down there the first, I was 3 years old when I got in here. My dad had a dog team tied up in front of the camp. And we used to go out on the river and get our water from there and get the ice. And we used to have to go across the river to get wood and so on, And then a couple of years later, after we were in there, my mother went to government and said, you can't have all these people, the first people of this country, living in tents, building a Government of Canada community. My father's name is Victor Allen. He's Inuvialuit from the Mackenzie Delta. He called himself Inupiaq. Got a lot of relatives come out of Alaska. We were born up there in Leddy Harbour, north of Polituck. My mother was Bertha Allen, Nee Moses, coming out of Old Crow, Yukon, Vantuck, Quichin. So they met in Aklavik in the early 1950s. My mother was going to residential school there, and my father was going to residential school. They got married, and I had an older brother when we lost him to the river many years ago as a young kid. And then we were back out in the Delta, and we eventually moved into this community called East 3.
East 3, yeah. So that's here in Inuvik. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then we were here. We've been here pretty well since then. I did all my formal schooling right here in Inuvik.
Yeah.
Become a Inuvik later on in the years.
So I have a quick question. I have had many people ask me, why is it called the East 3?
It was called East 3 because when the government surveyors came to this part of the world to try to figure out what was going on, because the Clavik apparently was going to slide into the west channel of the Mackenzie River Delta and disappear. So the government, as far as I know, the government surveyors, they went around and they went and they looked at a couple of locations. I believe they found two underneath the Richardson Mountains over there. Beautiful.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why we're not under the Richardson Mountains, really.
Yeah.
Beautiful place over there, but apparently talking to relatives, talking to some of the elders over the years, there wasn't enough space over there for
big.
fresh water, and not enough space to put all the buildings and the people that they wanted to, because they wanted to build something that would be able to someday hold something like 5,000 people.
Okay.
So they couldn't find a space, and they had an issue with I think they had an issue with sewage.
Oh.
So over there under the mountains. And then they also found one at East 4, where our airport is. And then this was East 3.
So it's the East 3rd branch
Yeah,
of the Mackenzie River.
Yeah. There was West 1 over there, West 2.
Yeah.
And then East 3 and East 4 was the airport.
Okay.
I know some of them started building there, but I think they were saying that they couldn't get the boats and that through that creek up there at Airport Lake, Airport Creek, to get in there. So they had to get heavy equipment that in, so there's no way they could do it. So they used that as an airport today, and they left this community of Inuvik, East 3 right here, and they started building.
So when Inuvik was first beginning, East 3, your mom got in with the government, you said, and then the people were living in tents at the time.
Yeah, we were living in tents. A lot of our families came in. A lot of families came in from the Delta to visit families that were here and looking for work.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of work here. My mother was a homemaker, but she went after government as just a concerned citizen, and was wondering why all the first people of this country had to be living in tents down at the west end of town, and everybody else that was working for government and that were non-Indigenous were living at the east end of town, flushing whatever they wanted to down the toilet, and having a shower every day if they wanted. We didn't have that same experience at the west end of Inuvik. It took some time, and eventually we got there.
Yes. And then you guys moved in. Oh, you said that you lived out on the Delta doing dog mushing?
We did, after we were in the tents, we lived in the tent beside the river. And then from the tent beside the river, we ended up in another tent frame down by Happy Valley.
Oh, okay.
You know, they call it the campground now.
Yeah.
And then we ended up in a 512 unit.
Oh, okay.
Those 512s, they were 32 feet long like that, 16 feet wide. And that was a 512. 512 square feet came out to 512. So that's what we lived in.
Yeah.
And that was like moving into a mansion when we moved in there. I think by then I had maybe 4 sisters or something, and me. I think my brother was born in that 512, and then one more sister afterwards, and we lived in that 512 for a number of years. And my father came in, he was working for Old Man Semler for a while, and then he got a job with the government, helping to build a community. So he was working there, using that little D6 little John Deere or something, whatever it was, hauling logs.
Yeah.
And Stephen Firth was down in another part of town with a jackhammer with a big pile driver.
It was a lot of labor.
A lot of labor.
Yeah.
And they put everything into the ground. That's why all our community, most of our community is sitting on stilts.
Yeah.
And that was those ones they put in 60-some years ago.
So would you say that the majority of our town that was it built by the local people, like the people who moved here from our area? Or was it also a lot of people that were brought in?
They brought in a lot of people to help build this community.
Yeah.
People came in, I believe, as far as Fort Simpson, as far away as Toledo, as far away as Fort Good Hope, as far away as Sigachik, used to be Arctic Red River,
Yeah.
Fort McPherson, the Clavic over
So
there.
all over.
People came in from Tunnganarniq to help build this community because there was a lot of work here.
Yeah.
And they started out right down there, right where the main dock is.
Mm-hmm.
They started from there and they went back and when they got on top of the hill they said, you clean all the willows.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
touch the birch trees, don't touch the spruce trees.
Yeah.
You cut all the willows and that's what they did.
Oh, yeah.
And they built this community and when I was a kid we lived down at the tent.
Mm-hmm.
And then that school, that first day school, federal day school was over there. And then later on they built a school called Sam's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we went to school there. And then I did all my schooling. And then when I became like 10 or 12 years old, my mother was part of the cooperative that built the first subdivision in this community up on the hill over there. At Co-op Hill it became.
Oh, okay.
So she got a lot in the corner, and my father and family friends had built a house there.
Mm-hmm.
Mud art unit. They were prefabbed, and they brought them in, and they had 3-bedroom mud art units. And my father and his friends built that house, put the foundation and everything else.
Yeah.
And it was a couple of years. I think it was 1966. We might have moved in there, maybe 68. Something like that, and then eventually 69 or 70 we got running water down the west end of town.
Oh, okay.
And I lived up there for those years, and those years I was traveling in the Delta. I had a dog team.
Yeah.
I had 4 dogs one time, and then later on I had 5. I don't think I had really any more than 5 when I was a kid growing up, but I used to spend all my time in the Delta in the winter time.
Were you trapping?
I tried to. I wanted to be a trapper like my dad, really. No,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did. And I know I was out there. I used to go out on Friday night. My dogs, I had 4 dogs. I used to start them up there. And right after school, 5 o'clock, right about this time of day.
Yeah.
And in the middle of winter, and then I go out and I go across that big lake. Go across Sumner's big lake, end up down by Father's camp. End up out in the Delta, 12 years old, and mushing my dog, 4 dogs I got. Yelling at them like everybody else because it's all I ever heard people do. Yelling at their dogs so they could go faster.
It was dark.
They never really went faster. They just kept on moving as fast as they wanted to. It used to get dark.
Yeah.
Middle of winter we had not too much for daylight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was, I had the 4 best friends you could ever have. I had 4 dogs with me.
Yeah.
And I never had any concern for anything. I had a little Kui 22 single shot 22 in my toboggan, got a little axe in there.
Yeah.
I had a little bag I could carry tea and bannock and a couple other things, you know. And I can go from there. And I'd show up at my dad's camp in the Delta, and I'd stay out the weekend. And I tried to trap. I set a few traps along the way. But I was always trapping on my dad's trap lines.
Yeah.
And they were the ones that were trying to make a living for their families out on the land. Not working for government, not working for anybody.
Yeah.
Working for themselves, doing a hard day's work starting at 5 o'clock in the morning in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
Running their trap line. So I set a few traps. Sometimes I got a crow, sometimes I got a whiskey jack. Sometimes I got a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think sometimes they hung my traps beside the tree or beside where I had it set. And then a couple of times I talked to my dad downtown. My dad talks fluent Inuktitut.
Yeah.
I couldn't speak very much for Inuktitut, but I could smile like the rest of my relatives. And we talked to one of my relatives from out in the bush, and they talked to me and my dad, and they talked Inuktitut, and they pointed at me once in a while.
Yeah.
I just keep smiling because what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
And eventually my dad says, stay in school, he said. The guys are trying to make a living trapping.
Yeah.
Leave their trap lines alone. Don't trap out there.
Yeah.
Just go visiting. So that's what I did. I went visiting after that.
Oh, okay.
I used to go and come out of my dad's camp, Little Jim's, out here, about 17 miles out or so. And next Saturday morning I go to the Mackenzie, go to Sweeney's. I go through the trails to Roy Islands or Cuckoos.
Sounds like you had more fun, or you enjoyed
I
traveling
had more fun, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually on Saturday I'd end up maybe 45 miles out there, maybe 47 miles, I don't know how far it is. My Agan used to be there, but it was Stevenson's camp, and my Uncle Sandy was there, and he'd say, oh, Tuting, call me Tuting in my language. What you doing here? I said, oh, I've come to visit, we got 4 dogs traveling over. And he says, who's with you? Where's your dad? I said, he's in the Nuvik. He said, what you doing here by yourself? I said, oh, come to visit. I got 4 dogs right there. Yeah, and I camp with them. I got to cut wood, of course, because I can't stay there for nothing.
Yeah.
You can't stay anywhere for nothing. You got to do a little work. So I cut wood. Sunday I'd work my way to Big Jim's, Angasuk, Big Jim Rogers camp. Benjamin, Hank, and all them guys. Teddy, Miller, all of them. I'd be there, have lunch with them maybe, play some games, and we were just a bunch of kids. And then that Sunday afternoon, I'd work my way 8 miles back up towards Inuvik to Napoyak, where Sadie and Isaac were, and I'd visit with them for a while, and eventually, probably about 5 or 6, I'd leave from there, show up in Inuvik across that big lake right here at about 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and then back to school in the morning at 9 o'clock.
That's a lot of traveling.
That was a lot of traveling. I did that all winter.
Yeah.
That was my life. I might not have got totally educated in the educational system, but I knew the Delta very, very well.
Yeah.
Because I traveled the Delta with my dad, with a lot of my relatives, and then eventually I started going on my own.
Yeah.
And then when the oil and gas industry came in back in the late 60s, early 70s, I eventually got a job with them and working out at a camp at a place called West Channel. There for a couple of terms, and I think it was like 14 days in, 14 days out. And I left that job, and I got a job. There was an experimental pipeline back in the late 60s, early 70s, sponsored by many oil companies around the world. I was over there on Navy Road, down at the end of Navy Road, and I worked there for. I got a job there, and we were testing the oil on the pipe on the stilts, and then we were also testing the oil in the berm in the ground, because they were talking that time. That was the early days of the Mackenzie gas project. So they were testing to make sure what they might be able to use if they have a pipeline. If they have a pipeline. It never happened. But I mean, that was like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
It never happened anyways. I worked there for a while, and while I was there, I used to visit my friend Otto Binder up there on the hill. And I used to go hunting with him. He was a special constable in the RCMP.
Oh, okay.
So one time he says, come and have coffee down the shop down there. So I did, and eventually he says, put an application in. It might work. Do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 17 years old, doing nothing in Inuit. Yeah, you should do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I said, okay. So I went a couple of times having coffee with Otto down there at his work, where he was working at the RCMP. And then finally I filled out that application for him. 2 pages, 3 pages. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, I put it in there, and then I got a job with the Mackenzie Valley experimental pipeline down there. And I worked there, and in November of 1971, it's going to be 50 years in a couple of months from now. They came and got a hold of me and said, you've been accepted to the RCMP.
Yeah, and what was that like at 17 years old?
I turned 18 that winter.
Yeah.
I said, you got to be kidding. He said, no, you've been accepted to the RCMP. So I started working down there at the RCMP. I was a special constable.
Yeah.
I started out as special constable. I was working in the guard room. And then eventually a friend of mine arrived in Inuvik, right out of training, same age as I was. Says, hey, go back to school. I need a little bit more. I think I needed grade 11.
Yeah.
I already had grade 10. When I left school, I thought in my own mind I really didn't need any more education. I think I'm educated enough. I had a dog team. I had everything I ever really needed.
Yeah.
I was right here. I had my dog team and I had my 22.
Yeah.
I could probably build someplace in the Delta, but I never did. And then I had to go back to school. I needed to get grade 11. And I went and I did. My buddy says, do something. Are you going to live in Inuvik for the next 20, 25 years and then maybe get a pension from the government, you know? You could do that too.
Yeah.
But he said if you join the RCMP, you could see the world out there.
Yeah.
So I did. I finished grade 11.
Here in Inuvik?
In Inuvik, yeah. I went to see my old teacher up there at Samuel Hearn.
Yeah.
You went to Samuel Hearn?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I went to Samuel Hearn. I talked to my old teacher. He gave me a hand. Gave me lots of hand. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I don't know why I even made it to school, but I got my grade 11 anyways.
Yeah.
And that summer, I think it was 1973, I wrote my first exam
Yeah.
to try to get into the RCMP, into the training academy in Regina, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
I failed the first one because my English was a problem. And I was sort of devastated, you know, like anybody else, I think, when you know, being a young kid too. And they said they'd give me another opportunity in the fall of that year, and I wrote my exam, and right after Christmas they said, hey, you can go to training.
And you left to Regina?
I left for Regina in July of 1974 from Northern Games and Tuck. Yeah.
You were 19 at the time?
No, when I went for training I was 21.
Oh, okay.
1970, 21 I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and I went, we did Northern Games in Tuck. I did the introductions to everybody from Inuvik and a lot of the other ones because we played Northern Games right from the time I was a kid too.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. You were 21 years old, and we're going to get into this a little bit later. You were emceeing already? Introducing, or were you just an athlete at that time?
I was mostly an athlete, but I think we were also emceeing. I think I was also emceeing too.
Oh, okay.
We were doing Northern Games ever since I was about 14 or 15.
Okay.
By then I was around 18 and.
21 when you read the
21 when I went to when I went to training.
Okay.
But I started emceeing somewhere along the way.
Okay.
I always seem to say that. I got knocked out of competition pretty early most of the time, and Edward used to say, go and tell a story. Don't just sit around here, go and tell a story. So I'd go up to the mic and I'd tell a story or something, and I'd talk to somebody.
Okay.
Eventually became an MC.
We could get into that because I want to hear about that, but a little bit later. I want to continue on the RCMP training. Okay.
Yeah, I went to Regina, Saskatchewan in July 1974. That was the hottest day in my life. I thought I was cooking, you're damn right.
Yeah.
I left Tuck. My mother, I don't think my mother made it. My parents didn't make it down when I sort of got sworn into the RCMP over there.
Yeah. Because
I think they were at Kidlovik, I think over there. They got blown in a storm in July, middle of July. I don't know if they made it in. To this day, I don't think they did.
Okay.
I think I ended up in just going home to our house up here. Packing up the next day, flying to Edmonton, overnight in Edmonton because we had to. There were no flights right into Regina, Saskatchewan. And I arrived there on a Sunday morning in Regina.
Yeah. And
the one good thing about the RCMP in Regina, Saskatchewan was my Anakadeen Roy Langusak was already in training. He was in troop number 5 that year. I was in troop number 11.
Yeah.
And when I first got there, I was able to say hello to Roy and talk to him because he was one of my cousins from up here. He was already there in training. Yeah. He was there for a while, so I got an idea of sort of what we had to do. And we did training there. I trained until January of 75. And then I got posted to a little community called Bicycle, Alberta, 40 miles northeast of Calgary on the number 9 highway going towards Drumheller.
Okay, yeah.
I was there and I did 6 months in Regina in Bicycle. And then I got transferred into Calgary, Alberta. And while I was in Calgary, I got married
Mm-hmm.
to my wife, Rosa. And while I was in Calgary, I had applied to go north because everybody had to apply to go north.
Yeah.
So when I put my application in, I said, number one, I'm an Eskimo.
Mm-hmm.
Because in them days we used to be Eskimos and Indians.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I think I said, number one, that I'm an Eskimo.
Yeah.
Number two, I come from the Mackenzie Delta.
Yeah.
And number three, I wouldn't mind to go home and be able to do some work with my people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was to go to the north because I came from here.
Mm-hmm.
But I still had to apply to come back.
Yeah.
So they said, okay. And it was 3 or 4 months later that a staffing officer came down, and that fella used to be stationed in a Clavik in the 60s. So he started asking me, how's so-and-so and how's so-and-so?
Yeah.
Oh, hell, we sat
So
like
you
this
knew.
talking, yeah, probably about close to an hour talking about the people from the Clavik,
Yeah.
you know, and all the people that he knew, how are they
Yeah.
doing? Oh, some are still here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people leave this world too, you know.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then finally he said, Jeebers, you're going to go back north, but let's finish off this work, paperwork. So it was all with the paperwork. Eh?
Yeah.
We got that done. And then in February of 1977, I got transferred to a place called Manning, Alberta, up in the Peace River country, just north of Peace River. My Uncle Joe was living in Grimshaw.
Mm-hmm.
So every place that I've gone to, it wasn't too far away from friends and family.
Yeah.
When we were in Bicycle, Alberta, a lot of Nortran kids were working out of Calgary,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to work in the oil and gas industry and become different jobs, I guess, that was there. And then when we got into Calgary, we had a lot of friends that were also doing that. And then when I went to Manning, Alberta, my Uncle Joe was living right there in Grimshaw.
Mm-hmm.
So we wasn't very far away. It was like only 60 miles. So I phoned him up and he said, what are you doing? I said, they want to send me to Manning, Alberta. Oh, heck, he said, go. He said, it's just up here, 60 miles.
Yeah.
We were hunting moose that fall, him and I. We got a moose up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my Uncle Joe. He was there when I was born. He was 12 years old when I was born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he ran behind the toboggan when my dad was going across those lakes to go from where they were building that raiding camp in the Delta on the west side to Alakashik, where I was born.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was about probably 5 or 6 miles away. My dad drove the dogs. My mother and my brother were in there. Uncle Joe was running behind, 12 years old.
So,
I think they said stay at the camp, but he wouldn't stay. He couldn't stay there by himself.
yeah.
Ran in the moonlight and it wasn't that far behind.
Did you ever come up here as an RCMP officer?
I sure did.
You did?
Yes, after my service in Alberta, I got posted to a place called Whitehorse, Yukon, in the fall of 1978. Our second daughter was born at the Peace River Hospital on the 10th of September 1978. On the 20th of September 1978, me and my family were sitting in Whitehorse, Yukon.
Oh, okay.
By then I had a family of 2, I had a wife, had 2 children, I had a team of 6 dogs in my truck. I had a dog team already too.
Yeah.
And we moved to Whitehorse, Yukon.
Mm-hmm.
We were there for a number of years, I think 4.5 or something. Then we went to a small place called Pelly Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty well halfway between Whitehorse and Dawson City.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we were there for a little over a year, I guess. And then we went from Pelly Crossing to a place called Watson Lake, the gateway to the Yukon. And we were there for a couple of years, and then we got transferred from Watson Lake to Tuck in August of 1986. And we were in Tuck from August 86 to June of 88. Then we got transferred into Inuvik. Eventually, we figured someday, somewhere along the way, we'll end up back home.
Back home, yeah.
Yeah. So eventually, when we got back to Inuvik, we had 3 children.
Yeah.
A family of 3 children. And we moved back here in 1988. I stayed in the RCMP here from 88 to 96. I put in my retirement in September of 96. and then got a job with Parks Canada, doing communication, something like that, yeah. And telling stories and talking about our land claim and so on, you know.
Yeah.
And I did that with Parks until 8.5 years ago. And then I put in my retirement. And prior to that, I was along the way, I've been doing tourism. And I was when I was a kid, I'd take people out with my dog team for dog rides.
Yeah.
Later on, I started up as a business. I did that for a while. Yeah. And had some really nice trips, you know.
Yeah.
I did a trip to Herschel Island one time with a dog team from here.
That sounds like a really big trip.
Yeah, a big trip. We call it an Arctic expedition, 18 days.
Yeah.
I tried 5 times. I made it once to Herschel Island.
Oh my goodness.
We always seem to run into that weather down the coast.
Yeah.
Your family's from the coast.
Yeah.
They experience that weather too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we always seem
What
to make
time
it
of
to
the year
Shingle
was this?
in March.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
we try
cold.
to
lots of wind.
we try to get the end of winter
Yeah.
and right into spring because we don't want to get caught in the water coming off the mountains. So
Yeah.
we got to try to beat that too. And we made it one time.
Yeah.
We tried 5 times. We always seem to get snowed in at Shingle or not even make it to Shingle Point. Long ways.
So you've always traveled this land, this area. You've always been traveling on it then.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of traveling. I've covered a lot of area here. Yeah, with my own dog team, I traveled the Delta up here.
Yeah.
And then when I was using snow machines, I used to go to Herschel Island. But that was with Parks, you know. Yeah. And then with the boat, I've gone right to pretty well to the border, I guess, Canada USA border. Yeah. Bringing clients when I was running a tour company. And then I used to take clients to Herschel Island. I've done that a few times. Done quite a number of trips to Herschel. Beautiful part of the world. You know, it's a lot of our families and that up here had something to do with Herschel in one way or another. You know, and it's my father was on the trap line not far from there. Yeah. When he was a kid growing up. My wife was born on Herschel Island. So it's always good to bring the kids there and the grandchildren. Yeah, see where their grandmother was born. I mean, it's all part of history. Yeah. It's all part of your family, your family tree, I guess, you want to call it that. Yeah. I've heard many stories of Herschel Island. I personally have never been there, but I've heard many stories of Herschel. And then I wanted to talk about when you started emceeing. Because you have been an MC for as long as I've known you. You have done public speaking, and you're very, very good at it. I don't know. I just not really too sure. I think we did a lot of MCing. I think when we were doing Northern Games. Yeah. You know. And well, you still do MCing with Northern Games. Yeah. Yeah. And. You know, we've always been doing that, and I really don't even know when I might have started doing MCing. I never really thought of it. It was just something that I'd done, and I continue to do today. And I enjoy doing that because the people want to know what's going on. Our people out there, they want to know what's going on. Other people that join us want to know what's going on. So it's good to, you're on the mic, you're in control. You are. Yeah. Huh? So you can say just about any darn thing you ever want to say on the mic. Just try to be a little careful, So some of the words you say, but you know, you can talk to people and you can tell them that, hey, tomorrow morning we're going to have pancake breakfast at 9 o'clock. Yeah. Yeah, you know, stuff like that. At the Ingham Hall. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Or tomorrow we're gonna have igloo building out in the harbour when you're down at Kitty Hall. I mean, we've done that too. Yeah. I don't know. We did that. I think we had dog team races when I lived in Tuck. Yeah. Skidoo races and that, and it's all part of just trying to keep things rolling. Because you don't want people to be sitting too much. And you usually get a sheet with all the information that you can read off of? Sometimes,
Sometimes.
not all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember when we started National, what they call it, National Indigenous Day or something?
Yes.
What was it called? National Aboriginal Day.
Aboriginal Day.
Yeah. I used to sit on the Nunavut Community Corporation,
Mm-hmm.
and one time somebody said, June 21st, right, is
I think
National
so, yeah.
Aboriginal Day. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody said, why don't you go to Ingamo tonight, MC Aboriginal Day for us?
Mm-hmm.
I was part of the community corporation. I said, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was living over here. And it was about 6 o'clock. Somebody called and said, oh, we got lots of people at the door. Aboriginal Day, right? Huh?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, right on. Just tell them to bring them in if you want, and
Mm-hmm.
just tell them there's coffee and tea.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be up there at 7, because I think we planned to start around 7. I was working in my yard over there, sort of dressed with just blue jeans and that. And about 6:30 they called back that, oh, lots of people are here. I said, I'll be right down. I
Yeah.
went down, and when I got into Ingamo Hall, I went up on the stage and I took the mic and I said, how are you guys doing out there?
Mm-hmm.
Happy Aboriginal Day.
Yeah.
I think I walked off that stage about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
We did Aboriginal Day, we had a great time.
Because back
I went
then.
in, I was working in my yard,
Mm-hmm.
and away we went. And
I think when it started, that was still during the time that square dances and events used to go all night, I think.
Northern Game.
Yeah.
We used to do Northern Game. We would go about 5 days, I think,
Yeah.
maybe 7.
Mm-hmm.
We'd play all day Northern Games.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'd go to Sam's school about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And we'd do the last square dance about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people had to go to work. 8 o'clock, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was in the RCMP. I used to go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
We finished Northern Games at 7. And about 7:30, 20 to 8, I leave from there,
Mm-hmm.
go back to the barracks, get cleaned up. I go to work at 8 o'clock, work till 4. 8-hour shift, you know?
Yeah.
And then sleep from about 4 o'clock till about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And then Edward and them would call, or somebody would call and say, hey, we're playing some more games. I'd go back to the games and we'd do the same thing for about 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're just totally beat by the time 5 days is up, but your feet are just going good because you've had lots of square dancing, lots of jigs and everything we used to do. It was a lot of fun. We had good woman, good man contest. We had people from Old Crow. We had people from Point Barrow, Alaska. What do they call it now? Utqiagavik?
I don't know.
Yeah? Point Barrow?
Mm-hmm.
Utqiagavik?
I'm not sure what
I
it's called.
think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had people from Tuktoyaktuk.
Mm-hmm.
We had people from Old Crow, Yukon. I'm not sure we had Fort Yukon or not. I know we had people from Fort Good Hope. There was an old timer there. His name was Gregory Shea, got big cowboy hat, big sawtooth Denny, I think, and he used to play the drum.
Yeah.
I still remember that old timer. I don't know if he spoke much for English, but I always waited for him to play his drum, and everybody else, their people would all join in.
Yeah.
So we not only had them, we had good women, good man, making tea, cleaning seals, cutting fish, plucking geese, making soup. We cooked lots of maktak.
Yeah.
Excuse me, we cooked lots of maktak over the years at Northern Games.
Mm-hmm.
And we're hoping that after this year whole COVID is done,
Get right
we'll
back
be able to
it.
get right back into doing the games that we haven't done for a long time.
Do you know what I want to see? But I don't know. I've seen it on Facebook on the ICS. I know they have the video. It's a YouTube video, and it's 2003 or 6. They had a huge drum dancing workshop.
Yep.
And I would love to see that where all the communities go. At the time, it was in
Yep.
Puck,
We
and
had-
just gather together.
We had that workshop in the last in the last 2 Northern Games, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had all the drummers and dancers from all our community, and then they all joined in. And
That's what I
it
would
was sort
like
of a
to see.
finale,
Mm-hmm.
you know, drumming and dancing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was
the
just a
power in
day.
the room is just, you could just feel it.
Yeah.
Your body is just shaking because it's so powerful.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course, we get the fiddles and the guitars going too. And square dances, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have triple square dances. Sometimes they go 4 of those guys. Holy smoke. Yeah, and all the doors are open because people are just pouring water.
Yeah.
Really?
I remember.
Not only here, down in Tuck. They had Northern Games in Tuck. They had Northern Games Fort McPherson over in the Claddagh.
Yeah.
I think at Northern Games at Ulu. And I think even as far east as, I think they had it one year at Joe Haven. I think so. I mean, I could be corrected on that, but we've had Northern Games over there too.
Yeah.
And here, and
So just
I'm not sure we went to Fort Good Hope because I left home in 1974.
okay.
1970, I went to the first Arctic Winter Games, doing Northern Games, demonstrating the games with Edward and our Northern Games boys. I also went to the Arctic Winter Games playing junior boys volleyball. 1970, I believe we got gold that year for the Northwest Territories. 1972, I was in the RCMP, but I went with him to Whitehorse, Yukon at the Arctic Winter Games, and we demonstrated Northern Games for the duration of the games. 1974, we went to Fairbanks, Alaska, did Northern Games there, demonstrated the games. 1976 was the first medal games for Northern Games in Shefferville, Quebec. I missed those games. I was at training. I was at training. 1977, I was in Alberta. I went down to a place called Lethbridge, I think it was called, or Pincher Creek in that area, and we did Northern Games there, demonstrating Canada Winter Games.
Yeah.
And 1978, I was stationed in Manning, Alberta, and the games were held in Hay River, Fort Smith. I didn't make those, but I made the games in 1980 in Whitehorse with Team Yukon. And I was helping coaching there, and I was involved in the games again pretty well ever since then.
Yeah.
And then right back in the Northern Games when I came home. And
So
it's just something in our blood. That we just, I mean,
to be very
you
social.
want to volunteer, you've got to volunteer, man.
Yeah.
That's the only way things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had lots of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we, we did, we also went to the game in 2007 in Whitehorse, Yukon.
Yeah.
That was the Canada Winter Games. We went there. We demonstrated Northern Games at them, and we were sitting there in that house over there in Riverdale. What's her name? She's from here, Gordon.
I'm not sure.
So, lives in Whitehorse.
I don't know too many people.
Yeah, anyways, we were at her house. I think that we rented her house for Edward and Jeannie and Roy and Sandra, Hans and Billy, and the only one that didn't have a place to stay was me and Uncle Abel. So they put us in the hotel.
In a hotel? Yeah.
But that's okay. Nellie was there too.
Yeah.
We had a great time. And that evening we're sitting like this, and somebody said the opening ceremonies for the Canada Winter Games are sold out. So we don't know if you guys are going to be able to get in. So Edward says, get a hold of the coordinator. So I called that lady, and she said, you guys are the opening ceremonies. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We were sitting there, we were putting our blanket together. We're going to do blanket toss. Craigie was with us too, Craigie Grubin. All those kids were with us.
Yeah.
So we went in, opening ceremonies for Canada Winter Games, boom. Here we are, Northern Games crew.
Yeah.
Doing the blanket toss with Abel Tingman. They made a brand new blanket too, with King of the Blanket or something that we had on there.
Yeah.
And that was Abel. Yeah. And we threw him up in that big building that they put together.
Yeah.
And all week long we did Northern Games at F.H. Collins School.
Yeah.
And every day we brought a little bit of food. We had muck duck, we had Arctic char,
Lots of dry meat.
Arctic char soup, like?
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Chowder?
Yeah, Arctic char chowder, yeah.
Yeah.
We had bannock, we had trifle, I think, made out of huckpicks.
Yeah.
We had muskox meat pies and lots of putulia, lots of donuts.
Yeah.
We brought that over every day to where we were performing. Cut them in small pieces. Everybody got a chance to have a little taste, a little bit of the north. We did that for about a week or so.
Yeah.
And then 2010, Northern Games went to the Olympics in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, were you there for that one?
No, I wasn't. No. I've been part of Northern Games for the last 50 plus years. Never made it to all of them. You can't.
Yeah.
You just can't. There's too many other things on the go.
Yeah.
I got a family to raise too, so we're busy there. But we're always on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Consulting.
Involved somehow.
Yeah, involved in one way or another. Yeah. But it's always good to see the kids go to those levels.
Yeah.
And whether they medal or whether they don't medal, it don't matter. It's our games.
Yeah.
The games that we play, and that's what's
Was it
very important. It's part of our culture.
when they went in 2010? Did they were just demonstrating?
They were just demonstrating. We
Yeah.
went to the Olympics as a demonstration sport.
Yeah.
We had a lot of entertainers from across the Arctic at the Olympics.
I
From
performed it.
Nunavut, we
Yeah.
had them over there, and we had them from Western Arctic,
Yeah.
and we had them all over the place. We had lots of artists, not only doing 1 foot high kick, 2 foot. They were drum dancing.
I wasn't a part of that one, but I went to the Olympics in the opening ceremonies.
Okay.
Yeah, there was me and Sophie Staffier,
Yeah.
Chad LaRock, Josh, Teddy. I hope I'm not missing anyone else. There was a few other people. Charlene Blake.
Yep.
And
That's awesome.
her cousin, yeah.
Yeah.
And we performed. Yeah. We performed in the opening ceremonies.
We went to Expo 86 in Vancouver.
Yeah.
When I was in Yukon, we performed Northern Games for those ones at Expo.
Yeah.
And then I also took the kids from Polytech. I was working for Parks Canada, and we took the kids from Polytech to Hanover, Germany in September of 2000. 21 years ago. And we did drum dancing at the Canadian Pavilion at the World Expo 2000 in Hanover. And we did. I think we were there. We were in Germany for 2 weeks. I think we did 3 or 4 performances at the pavilion. And then after that we went to a place called Feierkirchen. It's down in Bavaria, south end of Germany, not too far from Munich. And we traveled by train. What an experience. Yeah, we traveled by train, and we traveled in the night train.
Yeah.
And you could see all the communities. And it was awesome. And we went there, and our lady used to live up here. I think her name was Simone. Used to live here. She met us at the train station about 5:30 in the morning when we arrived.
Yeah.
Brought us to a monastery. We stayed in a monastery. Yeah. And father or whoever they are, monks or I don't know who they are, some kind of people with big long black dresses or something. And they brought us down there, and we stayed there.
Yeah.
And then we went to the schools, and we drum danced at the school. One time we were drum dancing at the school. So Simone's got all those pictures from the north. She said, "Okay, all you kids, what is this?" So somebody says, "Oh, that's a fish, Arctic char." Okay, yes. Okay, another one we had I think we had moose or something. Okay, what kind of animal is that? They look and say, the little kids, those German kids. They said, "Oh, that's a moose." Okay, right on. And then we had one that had muskox. So you know moving
Yeah.
And one like that. They said, "Okay, what is that? What is that animal?"
Did they say buffalo?
No. No, they said, "That's a mammoth." I had to sort of hold our little kids here, the kids from Polytech and that.
Yeah.
Don't laugh, you kids. They're going to show you animals from here, you wouldn't know what the hell they are. Yeah, we had a good time. The kids drum danced for the kids there for about 4 or 5 more days.
Yeah.
And then we got on the bus, we got on the train. Everybody travels by train in Europe. Seems to be anyways.
Yeah.
At about 5:30 or 5:45 in the morning, and by the time we hit Frankfurt to get on the plane back to Canada, we must have had 20,000 people on those trains.
Oh my goodness.
Just so many people.
Yeah.
We got off in Frankfurt, then we got on the plane to Canada, and IRC had gotten us tickets to go to a hockey game in Edmonton. We arrived there. We left Frankfurt at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, European time. We arrived at Edmonton International Airport at 1:30 in the afternoon, our time, because we're just coming to the, And we got to the hotel. My wife and I brought my wife along because they wanted me in Europe for a couple of weeks anyway, so I brought my wife and my son, 10 years old at the time, I think. Yeah, 10 years old. And it was a bit of a holiday for them. They traveled with us. And then we went to the hotel when we got back, and I got all the tickets. And 7 o'clock in the evening like this, I was going to go and get those kids. We were going to go to the hockey game at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. None of them would wake up. They were too tired. Too much jet lag, I guess, coming from there to there. And we never did get to the hockey game. But the kids had a really good time. A couple of days later, we went down to, where all the fathers go to retire? All the oblates, or I think that's what they're called.
Not sure.
Yeah, they retired. They've got a retirement home there outside of Edmonton.
Okay.
Father de Herdeman was there from Polita.
Yeah.
Their father, they call him their father.
Yeah.
So we went there and they drum danced for them. Yeah, Father de Herdeman was pretty happy.
Yeah.
And we had Mary Bennett. Mary Rubin Bennett was their chaperone and their teacher at the same time, and their auntie. So she was traveling along. We had Nunki, we had Debbie Gordon Rubin and them, and we were all helping the kids.
So it sounds.
They drum danced for all the fathers that were there.
Yeah.
So Mary Rubin says to that coordinator, says, "How long can we be here? Because we've got all those fathers over there." The coordinator said, "Half of them are deaf and half of them can't hear anyway. Play anything you want." Yeah. It was good we did that. And then next day we took them to West Edmonton Mall. Yeah, what an experience.
A huge mall.
A huge mall. And then I think we even had them swimming in that
water park.
In that water park.
Yeah.
Some of them had wanted to go there. That was quite an experience.
Yeah.
To bring the kids in, just for them to experience something like that.
It was.
And that's something that I think they'll remember for a long time. And then now they come to Northern Games with us anyways.
Yeah.
They're from their community, so that's how things go, I guess, huh? Yeah.
So it sounds like in the 50 minutes that I've talked to you, because I've never personally heard your whole life story, many stories, and seen you at many events. You are a traveler, not only a storyteller. It sounds like you've been traveling and moving your whole life.
We've done a lot. I've done a lot of traveling. I've been to Greenland. I went to Greenland representing parks. I went to Greenland and I went to Germany representing parks at the pavilion at the Expo, World Exposition. Been a lot of places in North America. I've gone to Hawaii on holidays, and they always think I'm a Hawaiian.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I've gotten the same thing.
I know. I've gone to Mexico. They thought I was a charro. I thought I was a cowboy. I'm not a cowboy. Didn't even know the cowboy boots. And we've been to. We try to take the kids different places because life is not all the same.
Yeah.
Huh? Life is not. Inuvik is, when you take the kids from Inuvik to over there, their lifestyle over there is a little bit different than what they do here.
Yeah.
Not everybody lives this lifestyle right here.
Yeah.
Not everybody lives the lifestyle of what the people over there in Aklavik or Polituck or even Fort McPherson live.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different lifestyle. It's good for them to experience it because eventually they might have families of their own.
Mm-hmm.
We all started out walking around our communities saying, I'll never get married.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
My mother said, buy a lot over there. They're $250. 1970, right there, up there.
Sure would be nice if you
Yeah.
could do.
So, 1970, I came home 18 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Lots were $60,000.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are now today, yeah? Got to be some kind of
I think they're like
crazy.
75.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I should have bought a lot then.
Should have bought a whole bunch.
Could have bought a whole bunch, yeah.
Yeah. And just
Never
held
thought
on
I'd
to
ever get
them.
married, but
Yeah.
heck, here we are. We're great-grandparents now,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And continuing to tell the stories and continuing to take my grandchildren and that out as much as I can, and they get to experience the land too,
Yeah.
because it's a beautiful place out there.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty hard to beat.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is. Mm-hmm.
All the places we've been, you know, I was, you know, even with my own career being in the RCMP and that, you know, I had a really good time out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you try to help people just a little bit, that's all you got to do.
Yeah.
You can't always cure everybody's little problems they ever have in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody can.
Yeah.
I don't even know the good Lord up there can help everybody like that either. But you try to help people as much as you can, just so that they can have maybe a better day today, or maybe a better day tomorrow.
I was listening to that exact same speech today on YouTube. The exact same thing. Yeah, it's uncanny that you just said that. It was like an hour and a half ago. This man was saying that all of us have talents, and you can't always help someone 24/7, but you can use your talents, like in traveling and storytelling and emceeing, and just encourage and help people that way.
Encourage and try to, you know, try to keep the positive.
Yeah.
Let's work on keeping the positive, because this is a pretty tough thing we're going through right now.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how much
And
time
we'll keep
we have left.
and we'll keep involved, right? Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not sure. Okay, I think we're done our time now. We filled up a whole hour of our show already.
We're done?
Yeah, I think I told you when we were going over everything to say.
Yeah.
So thank you, Gerry, for coming on the Tunnganarniq show and sharing your story.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
It's always nice to share some stories, you know, and just to share a little bit. I mean, there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
You know, we got a lot of talent out there that are just sitting there, waiting for somebody to say, "Come on in and let's do a storytelling session."
Yeah.
We can easily do that too.
Thank you
very much, Margaret.
Yes. And thank you for tuning in to the Tunnganarniq show. My name is Margaret, and we'll see you next week.
Ilani Lu.
Ilani Lu, yes.